Good morning, everyone. So, before we start, let's just take a quick call pulse of the room. By show of hand, how many of you think that the world of the GC has actually changed in the past 5 years? No one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And do you think that the management has restricted the role, reallocated resources, or the mandate to meet these new expectations? But I think there's a gap between the evolution and the implementation, and that's why we're here to discuss today. Because the GC is no longer someone who just reviews contracts or flags legal risks. The GC is a strategic architect, someone who shapes governance frameworks, enables business growth across borders, advocates for sustainability, and increasingly serves as a public voice for their organization. So that's what we are going to discuss today with our panelists, and we have 3 different perspectives. So before we begin the discussion, can I ask you to introduce yourself?
So I'm Chunaj Rechwani, corporate legal and compliance professional working in Dubai for almost 4 years. Before this, I worked in India with FMCG industry. I spent 10 years there and then shifted here to have direct international exposure. So in Varun Beverages, I look after compliance and secretarial functions and legal functions for Middle East, Africa and Southeast Asia jurisdictions. Also, I try to educate people on social media. So I'm a legal educator informally as well. And first of all, welcome to all of you. Thank you for making it possible to attend this event early in the morning on Monday. So looking forward to this discussion.
Hello everyone, so I'm Dr. Richa Pathak Purohit, and I am presently a senior legal advisor to the Government of India, as well as because I stay in Mumbai, I reside in Mumbai, so I work very close with the Government of Maharashtra as well, and this association goes back since many years, while I was the Deputy GC for the Voltas Group of Company, which is a Tata Group of company, Voltas being one of the companies in Tata Group. And I was handling the project and product businesses. And before that, I was the senior corporate counsel for the L&T, which is the parent company. And my experience has been throughout in the law firm space as well as in the in-house space. And I also sit on the advisory committee of lots of companies, also a startup company as well. And like Chunar said, I enjoy interacting with young budding students, and I have a law firm also which is RP Legal, again that is in Lower Parel, Mumbai. And so there are many students who come from different law colleges, and I like to mentor them. I interact with them. I'm a motivational speaker for the academy which trains the vernacular medium students who aspire to become an IAS or IPS officer. For that matter, sit for the civil services exams. And apart from that, I am a philanthropist as well. I have my own foundation wherein I am strengthening the legal acumen what I have with me, the experiences what I have gathered in many years, and which I'm currently working on the policy side of the government. So it's a integration of my legal expertise or whatever it is, what I keep doing and striving in the legal fraternity, in the legal space, in order to make the community-driven programs which is more legally strengthened and people are aware about their rights. Apart from that, thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nada Barake. I'm a legal scholar as well as a legal consultant. My expertise is in corporate governance and family businesses. I have my own legal consultancies in Lebanon and UAE. As well, I have my own company in publication. It's a Doubtful publication, which has a new role in reviewing books and helping others write biographies or how to be or how to write with ethical standards. As well, I'm working on reforming legal curriculum in 3 countries through my research, and I have a lot of publications. As well, as you said, I'm very active in association. I'm in several legal associations international, as well social impact on different countries, part internationally, part on Lebanon, part in UAE. As well, I'm working on empowering women in law, and this is my own association. Thank you.
Thanks. And I'm Ashrida Kodo. I'm a UK qualified lawyer, and I'm also a global AI delegate at an organization called Global Alliance for Artificial Intelligence. And I'm also a mentor at Bridging Barriers, an association to help aspiring lawyers from disadvantaged backgrounds to enter the profession. So now, let's start. We'll talk about the gap between the evolution and the implementation. And Gina, let's start with you. How do you think the role of the general counsel has evolved from a legal advisor to a strategic architect within organizations? And what does it look like in practice at Baron Beverages?
So I think the role of a general counsel has shifted clearly in 3 stages. If we talk about the era or time frames that we have started working into this. So the 3 stages I would like to describe as after, during, and before. Surprisingly, it goes on the reverse side. But why I say after, during, and before is there was a time when the legal professionals or general counsels were being approached or consulted after taking the business decisions, majorly to rectify them, to fix them, or to take care of the repercussions that have already happened. Then came a time when we were started being involved during the process of business decisions, for us to be there to show them the right guidance or to show them the right way of process, how the business decisions to be taken considering the law or regulations as well. And then, now we are sitting at the time when people have actually realized the importance of consulting legal professionals before taking any major decisions. Because I think the leadership or management or senior people have realized a fact that it's better to consult or it's better to approach legal people before rather than regretting it later, paying them before rather than ending up paying the penalties and having the reputation damages and all. So these are the 3 stages that we have seen the legal framework evolve in terms of strategic leadership. And to answer your other question, how we do it at Varun Beverages or how I see this trend, I think the large organizations who are leading the industries in many sectors, they have also started practicing this thing since quite a few years, that they would include legal people right from the beginning. Be it market entry, be it entering into any kind of corporate actions, or be it any kind of public appearance or launch of products or anything. So they would seek legal people's advice before doing anything, and that's how we have seen the importance of legal professionals or general counsels increasingly being present in terms of strategic decisions.
Thanks. Nada, can I have your view on this, please?
Yes, for me to discuss what's the role of the GC or the strategic role of the GC, I want to take it from a very defined angle, from a corporate angle, because it will be very different between being in corporate or in something else. So for me, before we start, it's very important to all of us as a legal person to admit that even the definition of a corporate business is totally now different, especially in the last 20 years. Even a company is defined now by law, it's not anymore a contract, because a contract will have a certain life, defined life to finish. Even the company is defined as a legal entity. And when we have all this revolution in a definition for a contract that was applied for the last 100 years, so for sure the legal consultant or the legal counsel should have a different role. So starting from this point of view, for me, the role is becoming from a defender of the company or a representative of the company or finding solution for disputes related to the company to a role more bigger and larger from what we used to admit it. It should be the architect of drawing all possible disputes with all possible solutions. And how it will be done? It will be done starting from awareness. The legal counsel first should be aware of what is the main business of the company. Even if it's not his role to know what we are manufacturing in our company, but he should understand what are the main risks, the inherent risk, the regional risk, the risk coming from a new regulation. This is part. We should understand the second part, what are the committees on this company? It could be a small company, it could be a larger company, it could be a family business company, but we should understand in the history what was the major problem occurred in this company to be able to draft my advice to this company based on precedent accident happens or precedent. We should understand, even we were discussing 2 minutes ago, we should understand how the court in this country look at this main problem. They are taking this problem, for example, the responsibility of a director in a serious way. They are taking it in a very biased way to keep the company active, to keep the economy stable. So with all these parameters, I think the General Counsel strategic role is becoming a member of the company that should understand first what is the company, should understand the behavior of the shareholders, what kind of shareholders we're facing. We're facing a shareholder that they like ChatGPT, for example. This is an issue. We're facing a shareholder very educated and he knows the role of everyone, so my role will be different. And the way I give my advice to this company will be totally different. And how we do this, we could sit here and discuss and talk and talk and talk, but we have to start from a point. The point that we should start to make a General Counsel a strategic person, we should start by awareness for people already graduated, with continuous learning and education for people already active, with seminars like this, spreading awareness, people discussing together what are their problems, and for the newcomers in the field, we should work on the reviewing of curriculum of universities. We should adapt the ethics in our curriculum, because in the AI, the General Counsel will face another problem, the AI presence. So with all these parameters, we could reach a better stage.
Thanks. So, Richa, Nada just described the importance of commercial acumen and to speak the language of the business. So, as a managing partner, you work with GCs, your clients. So, according to you, what makes a successful transition for GCs to be drivers of business growth and innovation, of course, and what are they doing differently now?
So, Astrid, to answer this question, based on my experience as a deputy GC myself, and then running a law firm and then advising the clients from different space, and lots of spectrum of avenues are available in the market currently. Who they want to reach out to, how they want to structure their own transformational journey. Yes, I agree that there has been a multifold transformation from the legacy advocates earlier who used to be rebranded, who used to be branded as a naysayer. Okay, this is something, this is not legally to be done, and this is to be done legally. This was the only difference and the only rhetoric narrative which was provided by a legacy advocate. Now the change, what you see in the new GC or a new advocate, in-house lawyer for the company is, they know who the client is right now, right? And they know the difference. When you're working in a law firm, you know who the client is. And when you're working in an in-house capacity, you know who your client is. And the client is, there are multiple stakeholders involved in that. So you have investors, you have employees, you have social responsibility, you need a social license to work. You have multiple responsibilities and multiple stakeholders who, as a driver, as the growth driver of an organization, which again we are talking about the GC, has many hats to don. So when we compare to the legacy advocate who has now been rebranded as somebody who comes up with a solution. We right now, how in the present scenario, we just don't go to the CEO or a board member and say, okay, this we cannot do because this is the red flag which I'm raising, and we cannot go ahead with this. No, now the transformation which has happened, taking into account the geopolitical issues, the regulatory challenges, and the regulatory changes which is happening every now and then with the different governments in the indigenous capacity, what we see in our India, and everybody is aware what's happening, and outside also. We have to match our wavelength, we have to match where we stand, to be in that global arena and to play, to have the level playing field where we are playing the game shoulder to shoulder, giving a competition, giving an upper edge or giving a competitive edge to other players also, which are the GCs in a different capacity, in a different jurisdiction. So we come up with a solution right now. The modern GCs have an upper edge in the sense that they come up, they know the business, they talk the business, they know that what is the return on investment of the legal arrangement or a legal spending made. They can demonstrate, they can have that metrics in place, and they explain to the board, okay, this is the thing what we are capturing, and this is the KPI, what we know that we need to take into account in order to align with the organizational development or the organizational interest, and how do we drive the growth. Because for a simple example, a CEO of a company is busy, working on the earnings, the quarterly earnings, and how the revenue generation and which unit of business unit or which undertaking of a company is flourishing, or which company needs to be siphoned off, or maybe do an what do we say, the sale or an undertaking or a BTA for that matter, business transfer agreement, what we used to do in L&T Limited. L&T Limited being the parent, and we had so many companies. We need to work around the structuring of the entire companies and the entire transaction, looking at the balance sheet. So now in today's time, the GC needs to understand and speak the language of business, wherein they are acting as camaraderie to multiple different departments. It's just not a department which the legal person or a legal representative is holding. He or she donning the hat of a GC has to be very fluent and very vocal about their understanding of the business. That this is the PNL and how this is going to add to the capital cost of the company, or how much is the EBITDA, or how much is the revenue generation which is taking place if we enter into this transaction, or if we refrain from doing this. So this is the current scenario of a GC, and that is how, and that is where we come into play.
Can I add something? Sure. But there is always a challenge when he's talking business to be biased in his decision. So he should understand the business, but he shouldn't talk business. Because when we talk business, there is certain limitations that will not allow anymore not to be biased. Because
It's not, so to interrupt you, it's not about, you are imposing something. As a legal person, they will not even take your suggestions so proactively. But you are opening the channel, you're opening the platform for the other person from the other side of the table sitting, from the business side for an example, that they are willing to listen to you. Because I have chaired the risk review meetings of L&T Limited, where the large ticket sized tenders used to come to me, and I was the only single legal person who used to provide my comments and approve it. And hence, because I knew what I'm doing, and I know where the organizational parameters fit into it, and what the yardsticks are, what the board members are looking for. So I read that, and so I was very articulate in speaking. So there is a very fine difference in speaking or imposing something, or where they should be aware and they should know beforehand that yes, I am aware about what is happening and how we can maneuver our way through. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. Being in a meeting and discussing the risk issues is very related to the general counsel. But being in a meeting and discussing business deals is not anymore related to general counsel, because sometimes company wants to make the deals while these deals will not abide by the rules or by the applicable. So I agree with you that he should understand business. With governance, he should be in the risk management company, he should be with the internal auditor company, with the external auditor company, but he should respect his boundaries, where the business language will have an end for him as a legal counsel.
So Nada, to again, give you a live example wherein L&T Finance, when 2016 IBC kicked in India, it came in India. I was in London at that time. So when I came back in 2018, L&T approached me, I joined them. And I was the one, along with the MD and CEO, wherein we created and constituted a special situations group. So special situations group was only focused on, because RBI, the central government, the Central Bank of India, which was the Reserve Bank of India, had come up with 8 or 12 identified bad debt accounts of a company. And out of which L&T Finance had 8 accounts, wherein L&T Finance had 8 accounts exposure, bad debt accounts exposure. So hence the need and the requirement was to constitute a special situations group, which is in SBI, which is State Bank of India, which is the central bank. It is ad hoc considered as a central bank in India as well, apart from RBI, which is a regulator. So I was the one, along with the CEO, I was representing from the legal side, and we were the one who were understanding the non-performing asset. If it's crossing 90 days, so it is going to hit the NPA account, and then how the provisioning needs to be made. So the default period, the P&L account, the provisioning. So everything I was doing it with them. So that is how I picked up. So it is all about what kind of opportunity you get, because I got the opportunity. I was fortunate enough by God's grace that I got the opportunity when IBC just kicked in, which is Insolvency Bankruptcy Code of India. So coming back to the same thing, it was just, it's all about what opportunity you get, right? And I was lucky enough because they saw that thing in me, that drive in me, and they knew that, okay, she understands the work, what the company is doing. As rightly mentioned by you in the opening statement, you yourself mentioned that the lawyer just because we are lawyers and we are discussing about the lawyers. Lawyer has to understand what businesses are there in that particular company and how many subsidiaries and what undertaking companies and what associate companies, what is happening. When it was sold, when it was given to an ARC company, asset reconstruction company, or what was the situation, across, because that is what I dealt with, and I have made it very clear to my team also, that you need to first understand what businesses are going on and what businesses were held in a company and what is the future plan of the board. Although it will not come down to, the associate levels, but what I can, explain to them and sensitize my team. So it's my prerogative, it's my authority, and it's in my right that what I need to explain to the team. So that is where my standing and that is where my stronghold comes into play.
I think the main point is having a holistic view, approach, and in order to be able to advise the business, you need to understand the business. And yes, your point was very clear. And Richard, you also mentioned regulatory issues and governance, which takes us to this other question, really. And maybe, Nada, in your opinion, and you also did legal governance, and can you explain why is it particularly important for GC to drive the governance really, and especially in family businesses, and what are the pain points?
So first, what is governance? It's very important today to define what is governance, to know what the GC should understand, what he shouldn't understand. So governance till now still admitted as a kind of financial rules, internal arrangement, internal agreement, code of ethics, but all of this didn't fail to make a governance, because having a governance applicable, before talking about the role of the GC, first we should look at the governance. It is enforceable in our today. Can anyone share an idea? It's enforceable. Till now it's not enforceable. So there is no regulation. There is still admitted between parties as solutions or internal arrangement. And the role of a GC should understand the governance first, but he should understand the gap between the governance and internal arrangement and the failure to have applicable law, to have this arrangement applicable when a conflict occurs. So the main role for the General Counsel is to understand governance, and we discussed it already in the beginning. When we understand the business, when we go to the meeting of the committee of risk, and when we go understand how the internal audit playing the role, he understands. But I think from my point of view, because he has a certain role, he cannot extend his role, he should understand that there is a gap still existing in all our countries, all over the world, from England to US, to Lebanon, to UAE. The governance still from legal point of view not enforceable. So here started the role of the General Counsel. He should sit with his company, and well, we're drawing now the constitution of the company, but if there is a conflict, the court will ask for the bylaw of this company. She should not talk or discuss the constitution, and it will be admitted as a contract without any force to be executed. And if he understands this major issue or this major gap, he could draft the relation between, and he could draft the governance code in a different way, while we're expecting in the 10 coming years to have rules to oblige every person working in governance to have in similarities in codes and in constitution and in company act, to have these rules or regulations to be enforceable. So for the time being, to reframe the answer, for the time being, the General Council should be aware that all these internal arrangements are just internal issues, not being able to be applied when a dispute will arise. And if I am at this position, the main issue to take in consideration is to draft all possible conflicts and to have amiable solution or amiable possible solution to avoid this conflict when the conflict arises. And the issue, because we missed the part of family business, the issue will be more complicated when it comes to family business, because there is, in any company, there is 2 or 3 main parameters: the capital, the relation, and the business. When it comes to family, we have the family issue that comes on top. And here also the role of General Council is how to integrate the family parameter inside the business in a very professional way and not in a opportunistic way. So this is my answer.
Thanks. So, Richa, Nada just mentioned gaps. So in your opinion, what are the current gaps you see between having governance policies in place and actually having GCs effectively strengthening governance?
So Astrid, I have majorly answered everything, but I'll touch upon again. So the governance gap is again, if as my fellow colleagues just mentioned that, if it can be strengthened to the policies in place, rightfully policies in place, and as we all know in the company, it's a small example where whoever joins the company, they are mandated to complete some learning modules, which comprises of the anti-corruption, anti-bribery, anti-corruption policy. Just for example, ABAC policy, you'll have to complete modules, and then you have to complete some risk review modules, risk assessment modules, and some ethics compliance modules, and all these things. So there, definitely, the candidates are being incentivized in the form of additional points or units, which adds to their KPIs and KRAs. So that is one thing wherein we can strengthen the policy framework and also ensure that it's mandated and regularized, and definitely it's a very important part of any big organizations to comply with that. Now looking at the technology, wherein the legacy advocates, compared to the modern advocates, earlier there was no so much of trust created on the artificial intelligence, although it was not so much rampant that time also. But the technology-friendly tools and software, because in today's time, the modern GCs are just working towards reducing the time and efforts which were consumed on, largely consumed by the contract reviews and the policy frameworks and everything, which is aided and facilitated very easily by different software which are developed and created by different companies. And big organizations, large organizations are in today's time, they are very much up for it, that they give the free hand to the GCs that please work over it, and if there are some, for example, there are multiple contracts which runs into like 200, 300 pages, and those are tenders. And that it takes a lot of time if you keep reviewing one single line out of it. And at the end of the day, if some tender which has come, just for an example, from Aramco or Kuwait company, and we are the suppliers, for example, I'm a electric company and we are the suppliers, so we barely have any scope or any room to change even a full stop or a comma in that particular tender. So, isn't this I would not use the term waste of time, but isn't this time to be utilized in more constructive work, which can bring more additional lucrative work on the table, and wherein the work can be expedited? So hence, I spoke to my board member and I ensured that the TCS, which is another big company of Tata Group companies. So we asked them that if you all can help us create some software wherein a tender can be input in that, and then that particular software runs the tender, and it provides us where the risk is, where it's a strict no-no, where it's a go-getter. Okay, you all can go ahead with this particular, for example, if it's liquidated damages mentioned, then how much it should be. If it's a warranty mentioned, then how much should be the warranty. And if it's a breach, then what type of breaches are being covered. So everything, what are the change orders in a tender, and that is something very important. And what are the timeline to be followed. So everything comes very categorically, very constructively, very streamlined way in a software. So that is something also where lawyers, today modern lawyers are working towards it. So, and also, being a facilitator, being the, because outside people are, today there is no scope of no comments. It's everybody wants an answer to it. So they look up to a GC and they think that yes, there is some, because today's modern GCs are working towards reputational, they are in charge of the reputational arrangement of a company as well. That what needs to be spoken and what doesn't have to come out in the public. So everything is very structured, and when a GC comes into play, when the GC understands all the nitty-gritties and where the loopholes are, or where the positive or the weakness or the strong point are. Because at the end of the day, everybody knows that the commercial call, it's all entirely, the organizations are running the show are only because of the commercial decision which they take. We are the facilitator. We will definitely give them provide them an answer to it. Definitely will red flag what is not to be taken ahead with, but go ahead with. But we will also provide a solution that, okay, if this needs to be done, it should fit into a regulatory framework, and then this is the solution where we can come up with the driving factor for the company. So yes, it's a very holistic arrangement. It's a complete ecosystem, which in the initial discussion of mine where I mentioned, it includes multiple stakeholders, and how you are empathetically also, intellectually also, emotionally also, and commercially driven also. How are you preparing an agenda, devising a plan? That is where the real, the subject line, what Astrid just asked me, how the gap can be fulfilled is in this manner.
Thanks. So, Sheena, Richard just mentioned the GC as being a facilitator. So, how do you see this role of facilitator, especially at the board and senior management level?
Now, this question takes us back to the basics, whereas we have already discussed quite subsequent, phases that we act in. But to answer the question, the role of a general counsel starts with structuring, board of director composition, structuring, committee composition, or framing the charters and the delegation metrics. But just the structuring alone is not governance. When it comes to practice, we have to be into the behavioral structure also, when we have to see governance as well as risk and compliance. So then the general counsel also has to play a role in assessing the risk elevations, whether whatever risks we have identified, are they being escalated? who has taken the decision, who is involved in the decision process, how we are going to present the company's situation or stance in front of regulatory authorities. So these are the situations where General Counsel has to be a person who doesn't only answer, can we do this, but it also has to reflect how can we do this more responsibly. Not only just to do the things right way, but to do the rightful manner. So this is where it brings governance into execution. And not only this, then it has to record what all practices are being executed. Because all the stakeholders, regulatory authorities or government or whosoever stakeholder, like employees, they actually look for the documents when it comes to proving the practices. Governance on paper cannot just work in reality. So then they have to document what all processes have been followed, who all have been in place to escalate the delicacies, or who all have been in place to identify the risk factors that we have practiced. So yeah, it is the General Counsel who is often acting as a connector between all the phases, right from structuring to executing and to make it justifiable.
Thanks. So you mentioned how can we do this? That's the role of the GC. So it leads to the daily reality of the tensions that GCs have to navigate. So in your prep, Richard, you identified the GC as a champion of sustainability in addition to business growth driver. So because the GC holds multiple hats, what else do you see as requirements?
So again, ESG is it's a very responsible subject. It's a very responsible understanding which every company now integrates and threads into its organizational values and development growth strategy. Because ESG is not just a department. It is basically a seed. It is basically a decision maker through which all your decision, all the the subject line which needs an approval has to pass through the ESG mandate. So it is just not a department for a very simple understanding. The underlying reason of having understanding of the ESG is that it's reasonable assurance, which is the equivalent of a sustainability factor, which is included in a balance sheet in the audit reporting, is something very, very significant. I remember when ESG reporting and the team for who we were working with, because again I would say the same thing. It involves again the investors, the employees, the stakeholder, entire arrangement, entire ecosystem of the stakeholders. Because in today's time, everybody wants to know that it is legally viable, but is it aligned with the net zero decarbonization of so and so year, which is in 2030? What is the mandate and whatever the vision or mission is, whatever the agenda for a company is, then they want to understand. They don't want to understand whether it's legally viable or no. Of course, it's the underlying reason of doing something is that we are sticking, we are holding it very tight, that it is legally sound. That is the reason GC is in this place, right? So if it's legally sound, but is it aligned with the organizational perspective and the growth strategy, which is, again, taking care of the environment, taking care of the societal responsibilities, taking care of the environment, and taking care of the governance factor. Governance, definitely we spoke so much about it. Because in today's time, the GC doesn't want to just be a reader or an individual who is just providing the feedback on the scheme or the policy which is in place. No. In today's time, modern GC is one of the creator, one of the aiding factor in the innovation phase, because the GC today knows in today's time that what is the requirement and how we can structure it and how we can strengthen the innovation space, and that would lead to the scheme or the policy. Because I myself have sat in so many committees, in so many task forces, wherein we have prepared so many consultation papers with the principal advisor of the Government of India on AI policies, on the AI governance, the 7 sutras of the AI governance, what we have in India, which is fairness, accountability, responsibility, consent, and how it is affecting the societal arena also, because we need the societal license in order to operate, in order to function in the societal space. Because if the employees are not happy with one particular scheme or one particular policy or one particular product for that matter, they will not utilize it in the company, right, for the betterment of the company. What I have done in my capacity as a GC, and what we could do, and what the current modern GCs are doing, are again, they are integrating, they are like an intermediary between the product company, the product department, and somebody who is understanding the subject, and then maybe providing their feedback and understanding on that particular subject. So as I mentioned, we are just not a legal viewer or a legal understanding on one particular, once the policy or a consultation paper is out. No, we are going in parallel, we are understanding the subject, and we are helping and facilitating the committee also to understand that where the nitty-gritty are involved and how we can close the gap or structure the gap.
Nada, do you want to respond to this?
Yes, again, Dr. Redika. I'm here because the legal counsel cannot be the creator of the company. And this is from my point of view in the practice. Always the general manager is a conflict with the legal counsel, because the legal counsel or the general counsel thought that he's the he could in remote control direct the manager, but the manager has a different work to do. He has the vision of the company, he has the mission of the company. So the problem of the general counsel, yes, it is a strategic role, but this is a very limited role. He should make his role in a very refined way to keep everyone in the company and his doing his work properly. Otherwise, if he's knowing everything and he's the creator and he should interfere in everything, so we're again working against governance to define each role, to define the responsibility of each person that could be refined with the vision and the mission of the company. So this is my point of view, not against your point of view, just to have a kind of framing for the role, while it is strategic, but still it is binded with certain responsibilities and obligations.
To answer to that, Nader, I don't know who you have interacted with before or now, I don't know. But I have, in 2 big companies in India, for that matter, I have been in the leadership team. I mean, if somebody is providing me and bestowing upon me some responsibility by being an integral part of the committee, of the leadership team, which includes CEO and MD, then why wouldn't I take up the responsibility? That's my whole point is that I have got the charges, I've got the responsibility to work in this fashion. I was handling their entire corporate functions. So while IT functions, which includes IT functions, HR functions, audit related, the POSH committee, I mean, just name it. So I don't know where the difference is, but we are, see, I'm not here, or I was not there in that company to, feel bad or interfere in somebody's decision. I was only there for my expertise, for my role, for my understanding, for my subject knowledge, which what do you say? I could needle the thread into different areas. And if they like the point, why wouldn't they take into account and, incorporate it and utilize it? If they didn't like it, it's okay. I mean, it's a commercial decision, because that is the understanding which, as a legal person, we all understand that at the end of the day, irrespective of how much you document or how much you codify something, they are the primary source, or a factor who is driving the growth of the company. So they are the ones who are taking the decision. But if somebody gives me the responsibility, why wouldn't I take it up? I would take it up, and I have that expertise and knowledge, and I'll express it, I'll put it across to the table, on the table, and it is up to them whether they want to take it, whether they don't want to take it. Because a legal person in today's time will not say that, okay, this particular clause will lead you into a dispute. This particular clause will definitely lead you to dispute. But we preempt it. We don't wait for the legal dispute to happen, right? That's the difference between a legacy advocate and the modern GC today. We preempt it. We know that how we can maneuver our way in the betterment of the organization.
So basically, the GC should proactively anticipate. So just to close up the discussion, and really, really briefly, because I'm conscious of time, can each of you answer this question? Let's start with you, Sheena. What are the skills that the modern GC now needs and that it didn't need before? Just briefly.
I think the general counsels now have to be with time, which matters the most. We should be, as you all say, that we should be proactive first. We should also be able to identify what risk can we afford to take for a limited period of time, to identify how longer it is safe to be into a particular risk when we have already identified, but because of the business we cannot avoid it. And number three, we have to translate the law into a business, into commercial side, as we have again already discussed. The GCs have to understand the business first. Accordingly, they can identify whatever risk we are associated with. How do we overcome them, or how do we, show the management or the business people or to the board the mitigation practices. So not only to be able to, foresee the risks, but to be with it, to know how exactly, for what time duration we have to, allow the risks to be there, and the risk escalation practices.
Thanks. Sure.
So, as it's very common and it's very trending also, if you all see on the public forums, the GCs, or for that matter any advocate also, if they're invited to speak at different seminars, conferences, and like the one which we are doing right now. So we are definitely expressing our views. We are setting the context and setting the tone of the conversation, be it through such kind of public forums or over LinkedIn, for that matter, or Twitter. We are not waiting for the regulator to tell us and provide us that this is the law and this is the rule and the regulation. We are not waiting for that to happen, but we are already very commonly approachable, and we are the face of it, wherein we have our POV, which is point of view, and we are setting the context straight, and the conversation is very much open for the public forum to speak and discuss. And we know that where the loophole is and where the law is bent and how we need to work on it. So in today's time, the modern GC is not only abreast with the legal knowledge, that is not only the requirement currently, but with the practical understanding and making the credibility of the organization more aware and more trend and in vogue, to bring the public in the space to know that what company is doing and how company is doing and what company is bringing something new in this particular space.
Thanks. Madam?
Yes, the main role for me, in a very simple phrase, is role is changing from a legal counsel or a legal person to a strategic general counsel. What does that mean? It means the general counsels today should, at the beginning, understand the mission and the vision of the company, to reframe his role under this mission and vision, so he's not anymore the person to sign a transaction if it's abiding by rules, by law or not. His role is not anymore to represent the client when the conflict arises. His role is more strategical, and how it will be applied simply, for me it will be applied to one, understand the vision. He cannot anymore sign or let any transaction be done in this company without being framed in law, but abiding with the mission and vision of the company.
Thanks. I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Does anyone in the audience have any question? No? In that case, thank you so much for listening, and thanks all of you.